This is an exercise briefing. Repeat, this is an exercise briefing. This is not for a real world event. This is Angie and Yeti with the National Weather Service Jacksonville for a tropical briefing regarding NWS 95L. And this system is expected to be a threat to our local area sometime next week. And we do have increasing concerns for a local Atlantic coast landfall. Here's the latest tropical weather outlook for the system. You can see the area that's shaded there in orange now has a 65% chance of seeing a tropical surface low develop somewhere in that orange shaded area over the next several days. Where this low develops, it is expected to drift northward towards Cuba and become, as it nears Cuba, Tropical Storm Odin. So this is a threat overview of tropical hazards with the approach of what will likely be Odin next week. Locally for southeast Georgia and northeast Florida, the system is expected to bring the potential for catastrophic impacts across our area, including hurricane force winds, devastating storm surge, flash flooding, marine impacts, as well as the threat for some tornadoes and river flooding as well. So here's some of the latest forecast trends. Usually we don't really show this, but we wanted to give you an idea of what we've been seeing in the forecast models. And all of those lines are different model solutions as we get into next week with where the center could go. So what we do see here, the model consensus is showing us a major hurricane that would be a Category 3 or stronger east of Florida next week. And we do see a very prominent hook there to the west occurring, and we see that trend in all these models here. And where that hook occurs and when it occurs certainly will really dictate when and where the worst impacts would be. But what we are gleaning from this is that this system does have the potential to bring destructive surge and wind to our coastline, as well as catastrophic flooding extending well inland, because we see with that hook, once the system's inland, it begins to slow down. Some uncertainty here still remains with how far east that turn occurs, the size of the system's wind field, and we even see in a couple of these models here that the center could reemerge over the Gulf of Mexico as it slowly meanders. And with this over the warmer Gulf, could the system re-intensify and make another landfall across the Florida West Coast? So there is still uncertainty, especially in the later forecast period with this system, but right now we do think it's very important for everybody locally to be preparing for the potential for a major hurricane impacting our local area next week. Just to give you an idea of some of the surge values we could see with this system, it would be absolutely catastrophic. Whether it's a Category 3 or Category 4, this is zoomed in for the Golden Isles, and we see storm surge inundation extending well inland past 95. Obviously, coastal communities would be severely impacted, but we see that inundation of 10 to 20 feet. So this is certainly first story flooding getting into second story of structure type of storm surge event from Odin. Going down the coast a little bit, just an overview of what we could see across Nassau and Duval counties with the Cat 3, Cat 4 footprints. You can see that storm surge does push inland into the intercoastal waterway, flooding much of our beach communities, and then as well as down the St. Johns River Basin. So this footprint would indeed exceed Irma levels that we saw in 2017, far beyond Irma levels, in some cases double what we saw. And then a little bit further down the coast for St. Johns County, just giving you an idea of what the inundation potential could be. Cat 3 for coastal communities there is well into the first story, and if we see Cat 4 well into the second story flooding for some structures. So as we said, the risk here with Odin is very high, and this is just an outlook product showing us that the combination of rainfall and storm surge could certainly bring catastrophic flooding impacts to a large portion of our area. So at this time, we do see an increasing risk of catastrophic major hurricane impact somewhere along our local coast next week, and that inland flood risk certainly is there. We want to use the weekend to prepare early for this devastating storm.